The very next thing I think that I would be inclined to invest money in if I was a solo agent would be some sort of executive assistant to take off of my plate the tasks and chores that I've been doing that don't create revenue, right? They say if you don't have an assistant, you are the assistant, right? So if you can pay somebody, I don't know,
X.
$1,000 a month to do your mailers and send out emails and those sort of small tasks, that is buying you the one thing you can't get more of, which is time.
You and I are 100% in lockstep. I'm looking for, maybe we get a healthy debate from the others here, Dominic, but I'm with you because if I now have a high income skill, call it selling over the phone, that generates me 100, 150 grand, the next problem is how do I do that more? How do I find more time to do of what is working? And the answer is by leveraging through an admin. And so go ahead, Cole, what do you want to say?
Yeah, I was gonna say I wanted to butt in because I want Ben to go last because I think he's gonna have a really good answer. So I want to get this out of the way. But I think what you guys said is spot on. But also I would add a caveat to it depends. So like if you're gonna hire an assistant, you should hire them out of necessity because you have too many leads and too many appointments. If you're not to that point, maybe it makes sense to invest into a lead generation tool or something to produce more leads and appointments that you can, now I'm running out of time because I've got too many leads and appointments. So now I'm going to hire an assistant. So I would say it depends on where you're at in your business. If you don't have enough leads and appointments yet, you should be investing into that. Now, the question is, are you not having enough leads and appointments because you don't have enough time? Well, then there you go. Then that makes sense to hire an assistant. But I think we got to look at where you're at in business, and the priority should be leads, appointments. And then what do I have to do to get more of those? Maybe it's an assistant, maybe it's lead generation.
So there it is. Let's debate that for a second. So I see that a little differently because I believe that that anybody should lead through revenue. And so before getting a lead platform, right? Because we're going to talk about that obviously here in just probably a minute. But before you should do that, why not maximize your capacity, your own capacity to generate as much revenue, to stay as close to the revenue for as long as possible? So the thought is, okay, well, if I hire, okay, so I'm at full capacity and I can make, I'm just making up a number, $200,000 and I'm maxed out. I'm working 7 days a week. I'm like a crazy person. Well, if I add leads to that with no admin, all it's doing is adding more water to a boat that is has holes in it because I'm already maxed out. So if I add more of what I'm already maxed out on, I don't see how that helps the person what they need, because they need leverage to get out of the things that are not generating revenue. Then is it reasonable to believe that that person now can create more revenue before they hire or get on a lead platform? That's the way I see it.
I agree with that. Yeah. That was my, it depends with that. Yeah, 100%. I guess I was coming at it from the angle of like, are you maxed out?
Right? Well, the issue is, and guys butt in, this is a nice healthy debate. Most people want to leverage lead generation first. And that's, I think, from my perspective, that's a mistake. I just had Rory from our community on the podcast yesterday, building a team. They want to hire salespeople first. And he's like, dude, that was the biggest fucking mistake ever. I should have hired admin first, not sales first. Everybody wants to leverage out of like that piece first, where it's like, dude, that's not the foundation. That'll be short-lived.
Well, and what happens?
You're limited by your systems too, right? Yeah. So like if you have certain systems in place, it's going to limit you based on what you can kick through the process. And customer service is a big part. Communication is a big part of our business. So if we just add more leads, more people into the business, and we're neglecting people more and more, then we don't have a sustainable business long term. We'll just be turning and burning clients, and we won't have that database that we're desiring to build, so that this becomes more of a reoccurring business, and we don't have to work as hard every time for a client.
That's exactly right.
Well, now I was going to add, the admin is going to fill those gaps where things aren't going to slip through. It's going to add more professionalism to yourself having an admin that's going to be following up with people and keeping them in the loop. So you don't have to worry about it. You can sleep at night and not wonder, oh, did I forget to do this? Did I forget to do that?
Yeah. Yeah. The way I
And
look at, go ahead.
I was just going to say, let's remember what we really do, what our business really is. And we need to be honest and realize that our business, what we do every day, is prospect.
That's right.
So we're not a sales assistant. We need to wear those hats in the beginning as the business, but our biggest dollar amount is we need to be on the phone, and we're outbound prospectors. That's going to be our biggest return.
How many agents have we seen in our program get so busy that the prospecting falls off for a few weeks? And what do they got? They got to get back on the train and do it again.
All over. Yeah.
100%. And so that is exactly right. And the way I see it is, I believe in this so much that I believe there might be maybe 2 or 3 hires before you start leveraging lead generation. Let me propose this. So if a realtor can do, let's just call it 20 contacts a day through outbound prospecting on a consistent basis, we're not talking about every Tom, Dick, and Harry. We're not talking about the 80%. We're talking about the small percentage of people that are truly committed. And they're doing 20 conversations a day, 100 a week, right? It's like 4,800 a year or something like that. And as a result, they do 40 deals a year. Okay, great. If they hire an assistant that takes off, call it 20 hours a week of administrative transaction coordination, can that same person now do 40 conversations a day? Maybe they can. So now they can maybe do 60 deals, right, with one full-time admin. Well, the next piece of leverage might still not be leads. It might be leveraging out of the buy side of the business, right? We're just layering it on. So I might hire a showing assistant so I can leverage again, because I'd like to get me personally, I'm better on the phone than anybody else. This is my mindset, right? I'm better than anybody else. Just get me on the phone more. And so what I'm trying to do is all the things that take me off the phone, I'm trying to delegate. In other words, I'm trying to hire a bunch of nurses and nursing assistants that surround me, that take everything off my plate that isn't on the phone generating appointments and going on appointments. So I might I might invest, because that's what we're talking about, in a showing assistant, not a buyer's agent, but someone to handle all of my showings with all of my clients. They go to my buyer consultation. Hey, this is Susie Q. She's going to help open the doors for you. And I might do that first. So I might go admin, then I might go showing assistant, and then I might even go transaction coordinator. I might make 2 or 3 hires before I start doing any leverage lead generation. Go ahead, Ben.
And let's remember that not everything is going to be upfront cost. The buyer you can pay at closing, agent, you can do a split rev share. The transaction coordinator, you can do a pay at closing. So you're never going to realize that money, but you are going to realize that 2 hours that you saved, that you made, 14 more contacts and got 3 more leads in that day versus you showed a house that the person didn't like.
Yeah, that's a really good point. All of what we just said can be leveraged through a closing, and I just think agents are so fast to skip steps 1 and 2 that we've outlined in this conversation. I'm going to skip creating my own skill set. I'm going to skip going to admin. I'm going to go right to leads. Everyone thinks leads are the problem. Leads are easy. Leads are not the problem. Conversion is hard, and having the time to convert leads is the problem. But the first 2 will set you up to be very, very successful. And so now let's pretend. Now we're talking about anomalies. We're talking about 1, 2, 3% of the people, right? They have a high income skill. They know how to sell. They know how to close. They know how to convert. They're consistent as hell. They've got a full-time admin. They probably have a couple people of leverage on the team. That's the team that I believe in. Now, where should people invest their money? And so this brings up the real good conversation around, should I leverage through an outbound prospector, do more of what I know is working? Should I buy internet leads? Should I do Google pay-per-click? Thoughts on that? Ben, why don't you open that up for us?
I love this topic because I think that we as agents want and think it needs to be more complicated. It needs to be sexier. It needs to be this, that, and the other to get more business, right? We think we have to be on the radio and have billboards, and that's when we're going to be successful making seven figures, whatnot, right? But the reality is, let's go super deep on what we already know works the best. And that's, I believe, outbound prospecting on the phone.
1,000%.
So let's leverage that.
So I'll just throw in my 2 cents and then we'll open this up for more dialogue. I completely agree. So much so that I've spent the vast majority of this year testing what I'm about to say so that it can be true. Dominic, you were part of a beta test where we did some seller lead Google pay-per-click advertising. We've always been doing direct outbound. We've always had ISAs. We've always been doing that for decades. And we have dabbled in internet lead generation on the buy side and on the sell side. And here's the numbers are the numbers. This is not an emotional statement. This is a factual statement. And the facts are, Dominic, I know with 100% certainty that when you call homeowners direct over the telephone, that you convert more of those, call it a cold call, call whatever you want, more of those than somebody who is opting in on a Google lead that we paid for. You and I just proved that over the last 90 days, did we not?
Yeah, 100%. I can corroborate that, and I don't know what the exact number is, but it's 50x or better. Because I have a fixed outbound cost for my outbound prospecting, and I convert those at a significantly higher rate than what we were working with the Google pay-per-click leads, because we don't know what place in the process those people are. But when I call somebody who's an expired or a for sale by owner, I know where they are in the process. I just jump right in at that point and do my thing and get them converted. The other people, it's a bowl of spaghetti.
It is a bowl of spaghetti. And the thing is, so I when I thought about this conversation, it's the point of communication exchange that is the problem with internet leads. In other words, with the Google PPC, we call it, let's just say if our cost per lead is $25 as an example, and we buy that opt-in, because it's not a lead yet, because we haven't talked to them. They opt in, cost us, Google charges us $25 to do that, send them through a funnel, yada, yada, yada. Well, then we have to start our funnel, which is an outbound phone call. And so essentially what we're doing is our cost per our acquisition cost for the data, all we did was increase that unnecessarily. So what you're saying is you could go with a Vulcan 7 or a Red X or a Mojo, whatever, for $200-300 a month, have unlimited numbers direct to the homeowner. You don't have to pay $25 for a name and a phone number, because at that moment is when you have to start the process anyways, versus the point of opt-in with an ISA is completely different. Leveraging through a voice-to-voice opt-in is completely different. And that is why we see that leveraging through ISAs makes so much more sense, because I'll give you the numbers. If you, Dominic, call, well, there is no difference. We proved this when you just cold call versus buying leads from the internet. It's still like cold calling the person, right? When an ISA goes out there and has a voice-to-voice conversation, we know the contact rate just with those is 30%. Ben, we did the math yesterday, did we not?
We did, yeah.
So just that one KPI, just that one difference between cold calling and calling internet leads, just the connection rate is vastly different. Then we talk about the conversion from connection to close is a whole different world, because our opt-in with ISAs is what? It's a voice-to-voice conversation where the homeowner had plenty of time to say that they weren't interested, but they didn't say that. They were interested in talking with a realtor, and therefore, that's why the conversion is so much higher. Versus on the internet, the point of opt-in doesn't necessarily mean that the person is qualified. That's the way I see it in those two worlds. If I had $2,000 a month and I can go buy internet leads, or I can have someone call homeowners direct, I'm having the person call homeowners direct every single time. You guys see that differently or have an opinion?
I think it's spot on. I mean, the internet leads, you get into hamster wheel and you're chasing and chasing and chasing.
Yeah.
Now you're putting someone on the phone and you're going to get 30% contact rate. And then you can work from there and scale that into getting face-to-face appointments.
That's
and
right.
what's more controllable? Like one change to an algorithm, like you're screwed, or now your cost per lead doubles. And so with an ISA, you can control that. They can call for more. They can change the hours. Like
You could get another one.
yeah,
Right.
seriously.
Yes.
And it's the other thing is it's fixed. You know, it's
Right.
like this.
That's
It's
right.
fixed and it compounds. Whereas like Google PPC. I mean, you guys have probably all heard the saying: the best way to make a small fortune in real estate is to start with a big one.
That's great.
It's like you
Cole's
gotta
got the
put a
best
lot of money.
sayings.
You gotta
Yeah.
put a lot of money into it. So.
Let's not forget too, those internet leads we still have to call, right?
Exactly.
So if I'm going to still call somebody, let's target who we want to call and
That's
just
right.
skip the opt-in and just call those targeted people.
Because all
Yeah.
you do is you put money and time in front of a conversation. That's it. Where
That's
you can go
it.
And
direct to the conversation.
why are agents more willing to call somebody that has opted in over the internet versus just call somebody that we know might have an intention to sell?
Dude, you took the words right out of my mouth. And here's the other thing. They get more rejection calling an internet lead than they do direct to a homeowner. I didn't opt in. That's bullshit. What's happening here? Because there's more skepticism with the internet, right? And the other thing is what we're talking about to that point, Ben, is the importance of the first contact. And the problem with internet leads is you pay company X. It doesn't matter. Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, Google, whatever. You still haven't had the first contact yet. So you paid money. You're already out money before the most important thing has already occurred. Unlike when you have an ISA who has done the heavy lift. That's what you're paying for. The heavy lift is that initial conversation that all of us are trying to avoid like the plague. That's what you're paying for, is to get out of that heavy, heavy lifting. And Ben, you've been doing this for a while. I mean, we don't have to get into the semantics of it, but do you see that similar to kind of how I'm painting that picture?
Exactly. You say do the heavy lifting. I call it shake the tree.
There you go.
I'm just trying to find the people that have their hand raised. I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything.
That's right.
But if they can do the kind of like sifting for me, then let's not confuse this. They're not setting a listing and it's a slam dunk, right? I want them to identify people that have interest, and I am the closer. I'm the killer. I'm going in there and hitting it out of the park. They're just making sure my 2 hours a day is talking to highly qualified people. So it's If I can't call for more time, I just want to call better people. So I have them shake the tree for me.
Yep, exactly right. And with internet leads, you're still having to sift. You're just paying a lot more money for names and numbers that still have to be sifted. And here's
we can just buy.
We can just buy. And the thing is, how about this? This makes matters even worse. There's people that are buying internet leads and then hiring ISAs to call the internet leads before they even get. It's like, dude, you are wasting so much money. You should just skip the buying of the internet lead for the sifting and just have the ISA call the homeowner direct. I mean, you just save all those big teams that are spending millions on these leads to have ISAs call and speed the lead and blah, 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 blah. Why don't you just have them call the homeowner directly?
Yeah. And most internet leads are buyers too, which are going to take more
exactly.
time anyway.
Right.
Exactly. So anyway, I think we beat that thing to death on how where you might want to put the money that you are earning in excess back into the business to scale a business. And we fully understand that this only really is going to resonate with a small percentage of the agents out there. It's not right or wrong, good or bad. It's okay. But Dominic, I think you hit it, that most agents, we'll never have a need to reinvest. So this is just for those agents that are saying, listen, I'm doing well. I want to do better. I want to scale. Where does it make sense to invest? And hopefully we've done a nice job outlining where that might be. So gentlemen, we appreciate you guys very much.